All right, good to go?
Yep.
All right, good evening. This is the September 15th, 2022 meeting of the Town of Manlius Zoning Board of Appeals. All the members of the board are here. And why don't we rise and do the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Or did you all have a chance to review the minutes from last month?
Yes.
Did anybody have any questions? Thank you for your edits, Warren. Anybody like to make a motion to accept the minutes?
I'll make a motion to accept.
All right,
And a second then.
all right, all in favor? Aye, opposed? All right. Look at that, we're cruising through these. Item number 4. Appeal to the Manlius Zoning Board of Appeals to appeal the issuance of a building permit by the code enforcement officer to Abundant Solar Power LLC. Good evening. How are you guys tonight? All right, so I'm going to read this. All right, the code enforcement officer, okay, I'm in the right order. Code enforcement officer reviewed the building permit application and determined the Abundant met the standards for the issuance of a building permit under the newly amended town code and chapter 59 of the town code and issued the building permit. The issuance of a building permit is a ministerial act and is not subject to the discretion of the code enforcement officer. Rather, if an applicant meets the code standards, the building permit must be issued. It is not within the purview of the code enforcement officer to determine the underlying legality of any law duly enacted. Town code section 59-1210 requires the town code officer to mark construction documents which are part of the building permit as accepted. The documents did not contain this designation. But it, what's that word?
They do now contain.
But they now contain accepted. Accordingly, this board finds that the building permit was properly issued. However, this board is concerned about a policy not adopted or practiced in this town regarding timestamps, date stamps of documents recorded by the town code enforcement officer, and recommends that the town board take up this important procedural issue immediately. Yes, sir.
Second that?
Somebody has to make the motion. I read it.
I thought you.
I can't make the motion.
You can't make the motion.
You can make it if you want.
You can make it.
Mhm.
Okay.
You gonna make it?
Do you want to make the motion?
Make the motion.
Okay.
Then we need a second. Second.
You gonna second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Said no.
No,
Tom doesn't vote.
no, okay.
We don't want Tom to vote. Just kidding. Now, do you want to make?
I'd
you've
like to
got
make a motion.
another motion. Go
Okay.
ahead, sir.
Relating to this matter,
Yes.
To this matter, yes. I wish to make a motion that the zoning board of appeals for the town of Manlius waive the distance policy or any other restriction for this project and move the proposed solar farm from the existing site on the landfill to the other end of the landfill near the solar farm that for the town of DeWitt.
so just discussion on the motion, so that this is not a matter before the board currently, so this would be an advisory motion
Back to the town board.
to the town board.
Right.
Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we can make the
Yes.
motion, we can vote on it, one thing or another, but yeah, it'd have to be the town board.
But the
or
motion would be for it to go to the town board. for
Town board
advisory.
or planning board, whoever would handle that. Yep,
But, so it's more by way of a recommendation.
recommendation, a
It
motion.
would,
Okay,
in
motion
this case, it
for-
would have to
a
go back
recommendation.
to the town board because the planning board has been removed in this situation as we
Probably
discussed
so,
in the
yes, sir.
past. So
Yes.
it would have to be in the hands of the town board,
Probably, yes, I would.
right?
Yes, may I suggest that the wording be changed, that this motion is a recommendation to the town board? At the beginning of that motion.
At the recommendation to the town board
That this motion is a
on
recommendation.
behalf of the zoning board. Or the zoning board of appeals rule, review of,
The solar installation.
and applicable town law.
He said that. She said that.
Is that?
Fill it in, Jim.
Does anybody have any input on Carrie, Claire,
No.
Warren?
Any
You
input?
made the motion.
No? Good, bad, otherwise?
I think you can have it.
You can have. I get to read it next week then.
Yeah.
I mean, we made the motion in front of God and everybody.
God in the owl.
So those words would then be, this is a recommendation to the town board from the zoning board of appeals regarding the solar installation on the town property. That the town of Manlius waive the distance policy for this project and move the proposed abundant solar farm from the existing site on the landfill to the other end of the Manlius landfill near the solar farm for town of DeWitt. Is that appropriately? That would be your motion then?
That's the motion you made.
Sounds about right, yeah.
Okay.
It sounds about the same thing, isn't it?
I said,
Yeah, the idea
waive
was-
the distance policy or any other restriction. I
Or
see
any
that.
other
No.
restriction. I assume that,
obviously-
I assume that's why they had to put it where it is.
Well,
Mhm.
I assume that's why they put the thing over there on Bolivar Road, right, as opposed to the other end of the property. And I'm gonna make the motion. to-
By the way, I said town property and I changed it to town landfill.
Town land, yeah, okay.
So that's KP's motion.
going back into the
Mhm.
meeting that was on March 23rd, they waived that, right? That distance requirement was removed. Right?
Yes, it was.
So,
So,
Because there wasn't enough distance.
no, so it was a mile, and in that March 23rd meeting, I remember distinctly that Tim made that, and when I say Tim, I'm not referring to myself as the third person. Attorney Frutowski made that motion or that change. They voted and made the change to the town law that the mile distance was no longer required.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know, how do you have to word that appropriately? I mean,
I think
you
that
could
the
literally,
intent.
your idea is that you move it away from where it affects the residents that are concerned at the moment
That's right.
and butt it up right next to,
I
Town of
think
DeWitt.
that,
Town
I
of
think
DeWitt.
that it's fine the way it is.
okay.
You know, whether they did or didn't waive that and, but that any restrictions that would allow it to go where you're where you have recommended. If this board agrees with that recommendation. Or not, but so that's the motion.
All right, there's the motion. All right,
Is there a second?
Is
to the
there, I
motion?
was just gonna ask, so.
I second that motion to make that recommendation to the town board.
Keep it. Anyone else? Any other comments? Questions? Concerns? All in favor? Aye, opposed? Okay, and then the other thing I wanted to add to this, and we, was that obviously there's been other things in these multiple meetings that have been discussed, that have been brought up, that are being addressed within the constraints of the Article 78 that's currently being reviewed by the attorney, or the Supreme Court, I should say, not the attorney. The attorneys have reviewed it. So the other items raised in the past are being addressed by the judge at this point in time for that particular piece of it, so,
Okay.
right? I just want to make sure that's all on record as well.
And that will be brought up at the next town board meeting. How does that work?
No,
Anybody
they're just waiting for the
Waiting for
judge.
that.
They're just waiting for the judge to make a decision.
On my motion to the,
Oh,
No.
This will go.
separate.
It's a recommendation and Deb will send it to the town board.
Right. Allison will add it. From the ZBA with love.
Yes, that's how it works for planning board and ZBA.
And you can have
One of them walks in my office and says,
this
"This
whole
is the town board," and we pass it along.
and
May I ask that your minutes reflect the fact that you were in an executive session starting at a certain time and that this meeting started thereafter at a particular hour?
It was not an executive session. It was an advice of
I was
counsel.
excluded from.
It was an advice of counsel. It was not executive session.
And how long were you in session for that?
That is not of relevance.
Oh, yes, it is. Very relevant.
Okay, well, I'm not going to answer that
Legal
question.
advice doesn't take an hour.
It's
Legal
an-
advice, I've done it, been there. I understand the distinction. You deliberated behind closed doors and that's illegal.
This
Thank
is-
you. Good evening.
We had an advice of counsel session prior to this meeting.
Come on, let's go. We're out.
agenda item number 5. All right. All right. This is for Devin Cutero of 6457 Fremont Road, East Syracuse, New York. And he is looking for a side yard variance of 10 feet to construct a 24 by 32 foot shed. Devin, do you want to, or Chris, either one of you, just want to stand up by the podium real quick and explain what you're looking to do and why you're looking to place it where you are that requires you to need that variance?
So the property has some restrictions. If I were to put it 20 feet off of the property line, the garage would actually end up behind the house. And if we were to move it back to the back of the property, there's a floodplain, and we can't put it obviously in a floodplain. So we're kind of restricted to where we put it. We don't have any neighbors. We can't build on the property next to us. So I'm hoping that 10 feet will be acceptable.
Go ahead, sir.
what about the
Oh, wait,
school?
hold on.
But we
We have
gotta
to-
open the public meeting.
Yes. Like to, can you make a motion to waive the public reading? of The notice.
I'll make a motion to waive the public reading of the notices.
Thank you. Second, Warren, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Sorry. And then we need to make a motion to open the public hearing for this agenda item.
Make that motion.
Second.
Sorry, seconded, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, sorry, I was out of whack. Go ahead.
Gee, wow. All that just to say, how you doing? Anything from the school across the street? Did they talk to you? Did they say anything? Or did you,
They did not.
would you expect any comment from them?
I would not expect to. It's still behind the house, the existing house.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, you got, is that the property that you get, there's a dozer on there where you push and you use an action topsoil
Yes.
and you push some of the topsoil off, put some gravel down?
Yes.
And that's approximately where you're gonna put this.
That's
whole-
approximately where the barn will end up. if we do.
Yeah, Okay. Um,
Knowing that section of where it is, the lots next to you is always wet. And then that back area gets, it just where it is in the floodplain, I think.
I'm not sure if you have a floodplain map in front of you, but the further back on the property,
Yeah.
the water gets to the point you can't go.
We have this one.
Yeah, is it a federally approved floodplain? Does anybody know that?
That I'm not sure. It's not marked in here, but
So we had it surveyed for elevation. So in the pamphlet, it says how high finished grade has to be out of the floodplain, 100-year floodplain.
yeah, you gotta be what, 2 foot above,
2 foot above, yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
and down the street, you got the creek, so,
correct.
and what's this, thing next door to you? Maybe you know, maybe you don't, the reputed owner,
I'm sorry?
this comment about the reputed owner of the property next door?
I'm
Foley?
not sure that Chris Foley, Giacomo.
Yeah.
property?
Yeah,
Yes.
is that,
That's who's listed on.
Yeah, he owns the property next door. He's been filling it in for the last couple of years. I don't have any idea what his intentions are.
oh, okay,
it doesn't,
okay.
that's what they were asking.
And the height of the barn is,
It is under 17.
it's under 17?
Yeah.
I mean, if I remember the numbers here, you're gonna be
Yeah, all he
right
needs
at
in
it.
this case, KP, is the side yard. Everything else is within the constraints.
Just,
Yeah, just that 10-foot
yeah.
side yard because of where it's.
It's approximately 16 feet.
You don't think I'm gonna let the guy off easy, will you? So the height of the barn is a single
Approximately
story
16 feet.
under, okay. And what's it, it's a pole barn, and how are you gonna, is this a good, somebody, what's it
So
look like?
that's pretty much what it's gonna look like. We're gonna match the outside sheet metal will be as close to the same color as the house as we can get. They wanted, or you guys wanted a picture of what it was gonna look like if it was done.
Yeah.
And that's the best I could find, because obviously it's not built. There's nobody in the neighborhood. There'll be a side door, a front door, and that's it.
And of course, the biggie is, you're not gonna run a business out of there, are you?
It's strictly for a hobby car, put your cars in, because there's no garage obviously on the premises. So, hobbies and kids' cars, lawnmowers, and wife's car.
Your wife's car,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
It's soon to be wife's car.
It's, yeah, a concrete floor,
Correct.
you're gonna have power in it, electric power, maybe lights.
Eventually, yes, we will put power in it, probably eventually.
Okay, but,
As of right now, it's cold storage. Get it built,
Yeah.
just keep stuff out of the weather.
okay,
Obviously, we'll go through,
but for the record, you don't plan on putting a business in.
correct.
Thank
There's no reason to have a business. I have enough businesses, I don't need more.
Thank you.
Tom, you have the elevation certificate?
I do. I was gonna say that this is, and you were within a foot or so, I think, from when we
16
were,
inches, yeah.
yeah, from being out of the floodplain. So it was to the point where it was almost not needed, but he has the floodplain certificate here.
Okay.
So the finished slab is gonna be 2 feet above?
Correct. I believe your house is already out of the floodplain.
Correct.
So it was the struck, just getting closer to that floodplain.
Yeah. As a matter of a point of information, if that creek does come up and that water does touch your house, right,
Mhm.
you're gonna need flood insurance,
Correct.
right?
Yes, the house does not require flood insurance. Currently, the house.
Really?
Correct.
Wow, okay,
And
good.
so that is the whole reason we're putting the barn where we are putting it, is because it, by FEMA standards, it's in the floodplain,
Right,
but it's close enough to the house that we should not have any issues, and we're doing what the state law requires for 2 feet above flood.
Yeah, of the finished slab, finished floor, yeah.
Yeah.
But from my experience, if that creek comes up and the water does get to the house foundation, that's when the insurance goes way up. Okay. Thank you.
Question.
Thank you.
This is what we're talking about? Okay. What's gonna happen to the shed in the back of the yard?
Would you want to have it, Jeff?
I'm just asking.
I was going to leave it there.
Just leave it?
I was going, yeah, my intention were to leave it there.
And they have two auxiliary buildings?
Yeah. That's all within code. And it's not out of the ordinary for that part of the road either. There's-
Right.
There's other houses.
Oh,
along
yeah.
there.
Yeah, at the road, there was a couple of structures,
Yeah.
houses up there, yeah.
I'm okay.
Claire,
I'm all good. I'm good.
you're good?
Mhm.
All right. All right, so what we're gonna do now is those 5 questions you guys answered in the application, we're gonna go through them, so we'll deliberate that as a board real quick. Can I get a motion to, oh wait, first off, Allison, is there anybody?
There's one attendee,
Okay,
Rachel Blair, so.
She's, she's one of the applicants.
she's later on.
Okay, so then no.
Okay. Anybody in the audience have any other comments? Make the motion to close the public hearing.
Public hearing. I'll make that motion.
All right.
Second.
All in favor? Aye, opposed. Okay, so now we're gonna go through those questions. All right, question number 1, whether the benefit to the applicant can be achieved by some other means. Is there another way to achieve what they would like to do?
I'd have to say no. I mean, the lot's too narrow too.
No, and it makes sense where he wants it in placement to the house and
Mhm.
the flooding part,
I'm
so.
just wondering why those concrete blocks on the,
Those belong to the neighbor.
Hmm.
He put them there. I have no idea why they were, they've done it for,
Oh, you mean on the lot line?
yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, those belong to Jack Wall. He put them there.
Maybe to keep his neighbors up.
They're actually on the line, but I've never said anything.
All right, question 2. Will this variance cause an undesirable change in the character of the neighborhood or the nearby properties?
no.
No,
No. Is the request substantial?
Mhm. It's 10 feet, right?
It's half of,
Hmm?
it's half of the normal, but
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
but
think in placement of where it needs to be for it to fit into that property, it's not.
yeah, that's right. That's right.
4, whether the request will have adverse physical or environmental effects on the neighborhood or surrounding areas.
No.
Mhm.
No.
Whether the need for the variance is self-created.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
That want to build a shed. All right. So we already closed that, sorry. Let's skip it. All right, so the ZBA further finds that a variance for 10 feet is the minimum variance for the side yard that should be granted in order to preserve and protect the character of the neighborhood and the health, safety, and welfare of the community. Conditions. There's agreement, there's no significant impact on the environment, therefore I propose a type 2 action on seeker and no further review is required. Based on that, would somebody like to make a motion to grant or deny the variance? Sure. Would like,
Mr. Chairman, I move that the zoning board grant an area variance to Devon Pretaro for the real property located at 6457 Fremont Road, East Syracuse, New York, 13057. This variance is being granted for the specific purpose of permitting the construction of a 24-foot by 32-foot shed, thereby modifying the side yard setback of 20 feet to that of 10 feet, leaving a variance of 10 feet.
Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Congratulations.
Thank you.
They will, they'll be getting a hold of you with your permit information.
Alright.
I said they'll get a hold of you with the permit info. All right. Agenda, you guys can go if you want. I'll run that stuff over too. That's fine. I know where your house is. All right. Agenda item number 6 is Ryan Benjamin of 7,771 Myers Road in Kirkville. Will need one side yard variance of 14 feet and one rear yard variance of 34 feet to construct a 24 by 40 garage. Yes, could we get a motion to open the public hearing on this one?
I'll make a motion with the public.
Thank you,
And
sir.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed. All right. So as the last applicant did, if you could just explain to us what you're looking to do and why you need the variance.
Yep, so I was just looking to also build a pole barn. One thing I did notice is there's only gonna be 24 by 36 foot, not 40 foot. But the garage is gonna go currently where there's already a shed. Just gonna move the shed to the other side of the yard. And then I really can't put it anywhere else in the property because I have septic. So the septic tank is directly behind the house and the leach field goes directly through the middle.
Are you gonna run a driveway back to it?
If I ever make enough money, yes. Currently, the driveway runs along the side yard, so it would go directly to the garage.
Right.
It's gonna be it'll be a straight shot. If that would be a long time down the road, most likely, but yes, it could happen.
Or gravel, doesn't have to be
Yeah.
paved.
Yeah, as of right now, it's just gonna be for all the million toys that kids have.
The photo I took. This is yours, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So you've got the, I don't know what you call it. The tree house or the
The playground?
playground.
Yeah.
Okay. So you want to take this shed and you want to move it to the other side of the property?
Yes,
Where is the leach field?
the leach field runs.
As opposed to.
It would be, if you're looking at that, it's basically where the swing set is, if you were to come directly forward.
In front of that,
Yes.
towards the house.
Yeah, from the house, the septic tank is only about 5 to 8 foot off my house.
Okay.
And then it runs kind of out and it like zigzags through the yard.
It's not a single line.
I do not know, the only thing I know about it was because last year we had a pipe get crushed. So I needed Jack Septic to come in and figure out where it was, so the most I know about the leach field is what he found.
And how much it costs. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, luckily the pipe that was broke was going from the septic directly out,
Oh,
but so we had to replace that pipe, and he did kind of poke around and followed my leach field and then basically went straight through the middle of the yard.
yeah. Yeah, how many bathrooms do you have there?
2.
Yeah. That's
But not in the barn.
not in the barn? Okay, good. No, the question relative to the size of the field,
Yeah, absolutely.
but, and, let me take a look here. Do we have some information on the appearance of the barn and the height and all that stuff?
I actually have never received any of the blueprints or anything, but it is from RLS Structures, and
Oh, here it is.
I know they sent
12
blueprints.
feet, 7 9/16.
Yeah, well. That's to the,
That's to the center.
and then you gotta add another
You
4.
have this one, it gives you the colors that are proposed on it.
Yeah, so,
Well, it's in black and white.
Well, no, it has wall material,
yeah,
roof material,
Let's see. That should be in this,
I don't,
I
I
think.
believe
Oh, here
that-
it is.
I believe
His
that
is
it's
color.
actually-
Here it is, here, it's just not the color. Okay. Hmm. Again, under 17 feet, right?
Yeah.
And when you start this thing, you're gonna finish it right away.
What would we finish?
Well, we granted pole barns before, and they'll get up the frame.
Oh,
You
yes,
get the
yes,
skeleton
they
on
said
it.
it would be done in 3 days.
Yes, but then it takes, as long as you don't take another 3 years to put the siding and the roofing.
Oh, they told me 3 days it'll be,
So you're buying the whole package.
yes.
Okay, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
You've
yeah.
seen them where they
Yeah.
put just the pole barn and
Yeah.
strips and sits there for something.
You know, they'll have all the metal siding, metal roof, doors, windows,
Up and finished.
and finished in 3 days, they told me.
That's awesome.
Okay, concrete slab,
That won't be happening until potentially next year along with electrical. So as of now, it'll just be the stones.
it'd be the base unit.
base, Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have any questions?
Mm-mm.
Do you? All right. Do we have any public comments? Do you have any comments? I gotta ask.
Sounds like a nice barn.
There you go. All right, can we get a motion to close the public hearing?
I'll make a motion to close public hearing.
All right,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, just as we did before, what we're gonna do is, we'll go through those same 5 questions, and then we will make the determination. All right, so on this one, make sure I don't miss anything. All right, so the ZBA finds a variance for a side yard variance of 14 feet and a rear yard variance of 34 feet as the minimum variance that should be granted in order to preserve and protect the character of the neighborhood and the health, safety, and welfare of the community. There's agreement that there is no significant impact on the environment. Therefore, I propose a type 2 action on seeker and no further review is required at this time. Based on that, would someone like to make a motion to grant or deny the application?
Did you go through the? We didn't go. through
Oh, wait,
the-
we have to go. Yeah, I'm like skipping.
Yes.
This is what I-
Like, oh. like,
This is
yeah,
what I
are you
get
doing?
for not eating dinner before I came.
Should have gotten hamburgers.
All right. Well, it's what she said earlier. All right, sorry. I'm excited. I just want to,
Just wanna go home.
no. All right, whether the benefit sought by the applicant can be achieved by a feasible alternative to the variance.
No. No, not with a leach field in the middle.
Right. Whether an undesirable change would be produced in the character of a neighborhood or a detriment to nearby properties.
No.
Whether requested variance is substantial. The one is.
Yeah.
The rear yard one is. Have an adverse impact on the physical or environmental conditions of the neighborhood.
No.
No.
Whether alleged difficulty was self-created.
Yes.
Yeah. All right, repeating what I said. ZBA further finds that a variance for a side yard variance of 14 feet and a rear yard variance of 34 feet is the minimum variance that should be granted in order to preserve and protect the character of the neighborhood and the health, safety, and welfare of the community. Of agreement that there is no significant impact on the environment. Therefore, we propose a type 2 action on seeker and no further review is required. Now, would somebody like to make a motion to grant or deny this application?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion, the zoning board granted area variance to Ryan Benjamin for the property located at 7771 Myers Road in Kirkville, New York. Variance being granted for the purpose of any construction of
24 by 36.
yeah, 24 by 36 pole barn. Granting the needed 14-foot variance for the side yard. And the 34-foot variance from the rear yard setback. One other question that I want to ask before we go. In back of what you have there, it's one building. Was there brush or something in back of that?
Behind the shed,
Yeah,
yeah, there's a lot of trees.
That's still your
There's a lot of
property,
trees back there. I'm gonna keep the garage, let's say at least 10 foot away from that. Because
towards the front of the yard.
Yeah, it's gonna come further towards the house,
Okay,
because it does get a little wet back there also, just like the last guys.
Fun of that area.
Yeah. Well, I believe it was you I talked to, right? I just got out of the flood zone,
Yeah.
so.
And you're gonna keep the slab up or the
Yeah.
finished slab above flood
Yes.
level?
Yeah, the guys that are doing the site work are gonna, it's like 8 or 12 inches of stone. They're the professionals.
All right, do we have a second?
I second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right, congratulations. All right, next agenda item, number 7. Mr. Smith, your 110 Brennan Fields Run in Manlius need one side yard variance of 4 feet and a rear yard variance of 20 for the installation of a in-ground pool. Do you want to come up to the podium? Can I get a motion to open the public hearing for this item?
I'll make a motion. to
I
open
thought we
the
were
public hearing.
talking about variance.
Yeah.
On the agenda.
Yeah, whatever.
No.
Yeah, it's back.
Cut it backwards. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's on.
But I can let her know that it's her.
What was that? Oh, are we gonna flip back? We'll do it the right way. That's fine. You guys have, this is the original agenda and it was flipped in there, so
Okay,
Oh,
thank you very much.
this is for his. So if you don't mind, because she's on Zoom, we'll do hers and then we'll do you next. Sorry. That's what I get for,
oh, yeah, it is switched, yeah.
Yeah.
Geez, you're right.
it's okay.
Good man.
All right, so we're gonna make 8, 7 and 7, 8 now and go from there. All right, so this agenda item is for 4787. Yes. Variance of 15 feet for a construction of a 10 by 20 foot. Ms. Claire, can you hear us?
I can you hear me?
So similar to the other ones, what we're gonna do is open the public hearing on your thing here, and then if you could just discuss for us what you're looking to do. And then we'll ask the questions as we have them. So if you want to make a motion to open the public hearing,
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Okay. All right, if you could go into us what you're looking to do and why you're looking to place it where you're placing it.
Can you hear me okay?
Go ahead. Hello?
Can you hear us okay?
Rachel? Hello?
On phone, she could possibly hit mute.
Can you hear us? If so, we cannot hear you.
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
So if
I'm
you could,
talking now.
Okay,
fun of technology. You could explain what you're looking to do.
Lost you again?
No, just hold on. Is there? Yeah, Rachel, on our side, if you look at the screen, it shows that you're muted.
How about now?
Perfect.
Good.
Okay, sorry about that.
No problem.
I'm looking to install a 10 by 20-foot shed behind my garage. The wood structure. One of the reasons for the variance, well, there's actually a couple, is there's septic on the property. There's also a water line that runs through the center of my property.
All right. Now.
And there's also a significant group of trees on the property as well.
Okay. And the picture in the packet is what the shed's gonna look like, correct? So it'll have the double
Correct.
doors on the one end,
Yes,
concrete slab,
gravel,
it's going on gravel, okay.
yes.
Time for questions?
Yeah, those were my questions, so if you would like to ask your questions, go right ahead.
That was your question?
Yes,
Okay.
occasionally I ask questions.
What is the zoning on that lot?
They need, it's 20 feet, so they need 15 feet.
No, they've got two rental units on that lot. Two rental. Is that,
There's one RA.
There's what I would consider the main house. I call that the farmhouse. And then I do have a small house in the back of the property that I recently purchased in July.
you mean that wasn't always there?
Always there, yes.
I'm
On the same
confused.
lot?
Did you say you purchased that other house?
No, I purchased the entire property and it just happened to come with that smaller home on the lot.
Gotcha.
So you bought it all at once?
I bought it all at once. Yep. There's a white farmhouse in the front of the property, and in the back of the property, there's a smaller brown wooden house. To my knowledge, that house was built by the family that owned that before us. They were there for about 56 years, and they constructed the second house on the property.
Is anybody living in that brown house that's in the back? Because I have a picture of it that I'm looking at.
Yeah.
Yes, I have a tenant there.
Tenant.
Oh,
I saw that you have, in back of the garage, which I'm looking at the front, where there's a couch that it looks like an old couch. One of the doors is to
Yes,
the
it
side. Okay. In back of that, on a trailer, you have the shed that you want to install. And in back of that, there's a pile of wood that I'm presuming you want to, you will get rid of that and put the shed in its place. Is that your
Correct.
intention?
That was an old termite infested shed that I've been demolishing, and that is pretty much eradicated at this point. I have a dumpster today in the driveway, so I'll remove the old shed and then replace it with this new shed if given permission to do so.
Are you planning on doing anything with the garage?
You know, I'm gonna actually wait until the winter. I'm curious to see what's gonna happen with the water and the snow. And I wanna see what, how the water and snow works around there. And then probably in the spring, make a decision on what needs to be done with it.
Primary houses.
When did you purchase this property?
This is what she wants to put here.
I think I either closed on, the first week in June or the first week of July. It escapes me at the moment.
Okay.
Are they allowed to put two rental units on that property?
Well, there's
Grandfathered.
one rental unit.
Two rental units?
Mm-mm.
Two,
One.
two.
There's two
The main
properties.
house and the other
There's a
house.
main house.
That's not, well, it's a house. It's private use.
It's
There,
just- It's not owner occupied though.
Well,
So I don't,
matter.
I do have a tenant in the back, and in the main house, the white farmhouse, I do not have a tenant in that. And that is a family home, and the plan is for my dad to live there. He is 87 years old, and one of the reasons why I purchased the property is so that he can live nearby. I live about a mile around the corner, and so my dad will be in there. He will not be a tenant. He is a family member.
So in this district, it currently, you could not have two structures that are occupied on the same lot. However, I understand from what I hear that this has been in existence, these two homes,
Grandfather.
since 1950 something. So it is a pre-existing non-conforming use and structure. So it can stay as long as it continues to be occupied for that use. To be occupied, then that grandfathering goes away. So the use is fine right now.
And you can still grant the variance for the shed
Correct.
with that in consideration.
You can. A non-conforming use cannot be expanded. However, this shed does not be an expansion of the non-conforming use. So it would, if it meets other criterion when the board goes through it, then it would be allowed.
In my opinion, her garage, are we up to, it's not really a question, but her garage, it looks like it's in rough shape against the maintenance code of New York.
Have you had an opportunity at all, Tom, to look at the site?
I drive by it. We haven't received any complaints about the condition of it.
Right.
I can take a further look upon it.
Yeah, I don't know, it's structurally very sound. I mean, it just looks to be sagging. I don't know if your pictures show that, but.
If I might add, it certainly is in rough shape, without a doubt. And, my goal over time is to make a really beautiful home there for my family and my dad. And so it's my intention, as time and money permit, that we will update that and really make it a beautiful place. But yes, it is in rough shape for sure.
Yeah, back to your wood shed there, you're going to take it off the trailer, right?
Correct.
And you're going to get rid of the trailer?
Yes.
I mean, I can't imagine a license or anything on that thing, but.
No, I have plans to sell that, but I don't really have any need for a trailer that size once my shed is there.
That letter from the garage, was that from her neighbor?
That this, she says.
Do you have a copy of that handy?
What, she's the neighbor who got
The letter of support.
Yeah.
letter of support?
Are you wondering which side it's on?
No, I know what side it's on. I'm just looking at the shed. She just told us that she plans on getting rid of that wood pile where that old shed was, which is right here. So I took pictures of it.
Right, and that's the thing.
Okay. And
That's
that
what
the
she-
shed that's in front of the garage that's in front of the shed is in pretty bad shape. And there's not, it looks like stuff is just put in there. It's not used for storing a car or equipment of any kind.
There's a couch there.
A couch, which the door's not on it. It's exposed to the weather from the front.
Yeah,
And
Do you have a copy of the letter from the neighbor?
no,
Carried.
no, this,
I can
read
look
it.
online.
Yeah, I can
Just read the comments from the
Yeah.
neighbor.
So the neighbor's comments is, I would attend the meeting, but I'll be away on vacation. I certainly wish to allow this variance, as Ms. O'Clair is doing a marvelous job of improving the site. Mary Lou Pritchett, 477 Enders Road. 4777,
A lot of sense.
11 seconds. So that was on September 12th.
Mhm.
It was received. So that was.
What is
letter
she
of support.
referring to when she said you're doing a marvelous job of improving the site? What did you improve?
Well, looking at the home, I don't think that many updates have been done over the last probably 10 years. Definitely some trimming of trees and cutting back bushes. That's number one. Just maintaining the lawn on a weekly basis. I don't think that had been done on a regular basis. Definitely, I mean, my heart is warm that Mary Lou would say that she's a very nice neighbor, but she just sees that my intention there is to create a nice space. She keeps a wonderful property as well, and just sweeping things up, cleaning things up, trimming things up. I have intention to paint my home at some point and paint the garage at some point, and I think that shed, if you were to see it, it's a really beautiful wooden structure and match the farmhouse itself to the wood structure, to tie the entire property together to make it look nice.
I looked at the shed in the trailer. That looks very nice. What I'm concerned about is that very nice shed would be in back of a garage that's dilapidated. And
Yeah,
that's what
yeah,
you're going to
of
see
course.
being screwed.
I'm doing most of the work myself in terms of the demolition, and so that's a slow process. I have 2 children in the school district down the road, so I get over there as much as I can. But yes, that shed, specific to the garage, for example, I do have one of the doors off the garage currently because I've been manually moving the old termite infested shed and just storing it in the barn, in the garage. And I filled one 30-yard dumpster myself with materials from that shed. And I have another 20-yard dumpster currently that was delivered today to continue to clean up the debris. And then, my goal is to put that shed in. And then once the shed, with approval goes in, again, take a look. This fall, my plan is to rebuild the doors to the garage because the doors are rotten at the bottom. And so I want to aesthetically, clean that up because I don't want to live in a dilapidated environment. I want it to look nice. So at the very least, I'm going to fix the doors on that garage this fall to clean up the property for sure.
If you don't mind, this may sound a bit cruel, but we appreciate the fact that you invest in property in the town of Manlius. But being underfunded is not really a valid excuse for not having the thing brought up to date basically as quick as possible, as opposed to when funds become available. Now, I know that doesn't sound right, but do you understand my point?
Yes, sir. I understand. I have 2 properties I own in Manlius, and it is my goal to make both those properties look very nice and beautiful because we have a beautiful town here. And like I said, my goal is for the exterior of that garage to be attractive by the fall going into the winter.
So this year,
Yes.
okay. Yes, as opposed to allowing it to go for a couple of years and having it get worse.
Oh, no, not at all. That's not my intention at all.
Okay. Okay.
One of the reasons, honestly, for the shed that I'm looking, the 10 by 20, to me, that's a very large shed. Maybe not to other people, but was so that I can utilize putting things like, my mower and my weed whacker and different things in that so that when repair happens on that garage sooner than later, I'm not storing things outside, for example, or leaving debris anywhere.
Right. So I also have to recommend that if that shed you tore down is full of bugs and so on, like you're talking about, I wouldn't put it in the garage because that'll
No,
make
she
the
already said
garage
She said she's already.
she's already removed it.
already removed
She's
it.
got the dumpster. She just said she's got 2
It
different
wasn't.
dumpsters.
Gee, yeah,
I've
We got-
had one dumpster and then I have a second that's been taken off and then I just had another one put in today to continue to move that. Right, but I understand what you're saying. You don't want to move the termites from one area to another. Of course not.
right. To our attorney, do we have is she okay to have that many different
Yeah.
auxiliary buildings on that lot?
It's not, there isn't anything that prevents
Aside from this variance.
it.
So that's okay.
It is.
Yeah, I mean, there's,
It's
I
pre-existing.
run from different communities here and I'm getting things mixed up here and that's why I'm
Yeah, no,
asking questions.
there's some where you can't have,
But
you
you
don't
only have
have
one.
that. Right, except for that, with the 2 structures that are habitable are allowed because, like Tim said,
And
the
then the garage
grandfather.
is a separate
Correct,
auxiliary building and now this shed would be a second.
yes, but
And I think-
because it's grandfather, then it's really no different than a lot of other things we look at. It's a separate garage and it's a separate shed.
No, that's what I'm saying is she's gonna have the garage and now, if we
Yes.
grant her this, it'll be a second one
Yes.
Back of the garage.
and behind the garage.
Right.
And isn't there another shed behind that way back?
No, that was
Yeah,
where the wood pile
that-
was.
she
That's
took
being-
that
Oh, that was a
Yeah,
wood pile?
took that down,
Okay.
yeah.
That's this,
Okay. I'm all set.
that's
Thank you.
this. That's gone away. She's removed
Claire.
this.
Hi,
Okay,
how you doing? Any questions?
No,
where are the hamburgers?
I was concerned about
I know.
the amount of structures, but Jamie said,
Mhm.
explained it clearly.
I'm good. No questions.
I'm not concerned about the structures, the amount of structures. I see what she wants to do. My only concern is I'm looking at, well, the neighbor supports this,
Mhm.
but I'm looking at the neighbor's shed, which is in a lot better shape. This one is not, the garage rather,
Mhm.
and it's not, it doesn't really look very appealing to the street. Whereas this shed that she's got on a trailer in back of that is fine.
Mhm.
I will say, to echo what the neighbor said, driving by this property frequently, she's doing a good job at making it look nice.
Yeah,
Oh, there,
Yeah,
Yeah.
you are, I've noticed that, because it's one of those ones you notice where the grass is always long.
yeah, okay,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I just randomly drive in circles around the town for fun.
For something to
You
do.
do that too, Tim?
All right, so, do we have any other questions? Do you have more?
Nope.
You're good.
I just want to make sure, so your intention is to spruce up that garage
Yeah, we could set that. as a
sooner than
con-
later.
Well, I'm not
We
sure
can't
about the
really set it to a
sprucing
condition
up
because it's
of
a-
it, but that we would perhaps request that the town codes officer make sure that it's in compliance
There you go.
with any building code
Okay,
requirements as a condition.
Do we have anybody that's online, Allison?
No.
You're good. All right. At this time, I'd like to request a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
second.
All in favor?
All right.
Aye. Opposed? All right, so now we're gonna have a discussion amongst the board with the 5 questions. I'm not gonna skip them out of order this time. All right, so question number 1, whether the benefits sought by the applicant can be achieved by a feasible alternative to the variance. Thank you.
Sorry.
What do you guys think?
Well, what would the alternative be?
Well, she could move that thing back towards the trees or something, but
There's a leach field, is that what she said?
Yes,
There's
and
water
there's
line.
and there's that chunk of trees and
Yeah, the
there's
trees.
a water line.
Yeah, the
the
septic
trees are
tank
right
back there.
so it's- It would be in the appropriate spot.
Yeah,
you got where the existing, the one she demolished.
Yep.
She could put it back there. So there's other things she could possibly do with it.
But this seems suitable.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
All right, number 2, whether an undesirable change would be produced in the character of the neighborhood or a detriment to nearby properties. She's looking to improve it. I don't see it as a detriment. Whether the requested variance is substantial.
No,
I don't think so. Would the variance have an adverse impact on the physical or environmental conditions of the neighborhood?
No.
No, we've got a neighbor in support of it. And then whether the alleged difficulty was self-created.
Yes.
Yeah, she could have kept the termite infested one. Just kidding, you didn't have to. So, all right, so with that, after taking into consideration the 5 questions, the ZBA, or I'm sorry, the benefit to the applicant does outweigh the detriment to the neighborhood or community. The ZBA further finds that a variance for side yard variance of 15 feet is the minimum variance that should be granted in order to preserve and protect the character of the neighborhood and the health, safety, and welfare of the community. Would you like to add any additional conditions to it? You see,
I don't know if we need to add
I
that
mean, if-
condition about the garage being,
I have it on my inspection list.
so there you go.
so we don't need to add that because you got it. There you go. So we don't
All right.
need anything else.
Then there is agreement that there is no significant impact on the environment. Therefore, I propose a type 2 action on seeker and no further review is required. Based on discussion, would someone like to make a motion to either grant or deny?
I would,
The
Mr.
variance.
Chairman. I move that the zoning board grant an area variance to Rachel Auclair for the real property located at 4787 Enders Road, Manlius, New York, 13104. This variance is being granted for the specific purpose of permitting the construction of a 10-foot by 20-foot shed, thereby modifying the side yard setback of 20 feet to that of 5 feet, leaving a variance of 15 feet.
I'll second that.
Okay. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Congratulations.
Thank you very much. And I'll get to work on that garage as well.
Luck.
Best of luck. Have a good night.
Thank you.
All right. And now, what was 7, now 8?
I make a motion, we call it a night. Oh, no.
He's
Listen.
figured it out.
He's sitting there, he's almost out of coffee.
I think that was a mistake. I should have gone decaf.
You can chase KP out the door in a minute. All right, so this is for Reagan Smith, Junior, right? Second. Reagan, sorry. We'll need a side yard variance of 4 feet and a rear yard variance of 20 feet for the construction of a pool. If you'd like to, you can sit right there if you want, that's fine.
Okay. So, yeah, basically, we want to put in a pool.
Open up the public
Oh,
hearing.
we need to open up the public hearing. Thank you. You made a motion to. Good
I
job.
made a motion to open public hearing.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed. All right, sorry about that.
All right, so yeah, we want to put in a pool, fence, some concrete around it. I made a diagram there, kind of show you what I'm. Lots of very small.
Yes.
Back line requirement of 25 feet. Would leave me with, I think, 11 feet to work with.
You don't want to get just a smaller pool?
Not getting very big one, is it?
No, as we've dealt with this with other homes on this, in this street and kind of that general area, that those lots are confining.
Well, they get a lot of green area.
They do.
You're in a homeowners association over there. aren't you?
Gray area.
It's a great.
Uh-oh.
I would, because I got asked that question, I'd like to address that. So I spoke with Sharon and Bob Karen, who are the head of the homeowners association over there.
Is this after I asked you about it?
Yes. They are still the head of the homeowners association. It was never turned over to the residents of Brennan Fields. So I do not know how active some of the other residents there are with getting approvals through them, or how active they are in reviewing current construction over there. When I spoke with them, I'm not going to say that they are going to approve it, but from the conversation I had with them, they had no problem with where it was going, as I discussed. That did not mean that it was an approval for them, but they did not have a problem with it going when they spoke with me. They didn't have it, I was just.
But that's up to the
That
HOA
is
regardless of the variance.
Well,
correct.
he's also the builder,
Right, that happened.
right?
He was, I believe he was the builder for a majority of them over there.
And the normal HOA, homeowners association, once there's so many homes built or a certain percentage, he's supposed to be turning that over to the homeowners?
That would be something for legal counsel, but
Okay,
they had been asked about it and they had not turned it over. So where that stands.
most of those lots filled up or is there a section there they haven't done yet? Or-
From my understanding, they're
They're all
fully
full.
built out.
Oh, they're fully built up? Oh, well, no wonder you say it's in a gray area. Yeah.
Well, some of the other neighbors have been in contact with Sharon and Bob. I have not been involved because I do most of it through Facebook. If I don't
Right.
have. But people want to start building sheds and, you know, I've been there 8 years, almost 8 years.
Is it an official?
KP, this came up, the same topic came up last year, or was it the year before with the guy in the corner
In the
on the
corner,
cul-de-sac?
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
There was
Is
a
it-
shed.
Well, there was
Is it
one
an
2
official
months ago
HOA?
with that.
Yeah.
One that wanted to put
It
the
is an
patio
official
there,
HOA?
remember? The Patio with.
I don't know.
blocked off the Bible school.
I don't know. I haven't looked
Yeah.
into
I
it.
don't know,
I'll tell you
I
what.
don't know, you
Huh?
consider
What
it
is
official
that?
HOA, they don't like mow the grass or paint the house.
One of the cul-de-sacs,
I believe it's
there was
like
a
an
house,
architectural.
I believe it was the first cul-de-sac to the
Okay, so
left.
it's not,
They wanted to put a patio
Got it.
back there. And then they had wanted a outdoor
But is
kitchen
it, is
thing,
it like
a
forever?
panel that
In the
blocks
back
off
part,
the Bible
yeah.
school. There was an
Yeah, 'cause it
easement
backs
right
up to
next to it.
the
Which then you're
railroad
thinking
tracks
like,
on
oh,
one side,
HOA.
and then it backs up to the church on the other.
Yeah, behind,
It's behind Eastern Hills, and then you've got behind it, there's the train tracks, and
There's not much.
that's not, they're not building anything back there.
no, but from at your lot line, you've got basically
Probably another
Uh,
100 feet.
100 feet.
Yeah,
and I maintain.
So it appears, you maintain it?
most of those residents do. They maintain back to the end of their,
Yeah.
Oh, doesn't that the
That
homeowners
was-
take care of it?
Okay.
They haven't
This thing
been.
is non-existent.
Yeah.
We don't pay. They
Oh,
don't, never paid any money.
okay.
There's no communication.
Didn't you tell me that you paid 200 and you
When we
say,
built, it was like when we built, they
Yeah.
were part of our initial
Oh,
contract.
when you mowed the lawn because you wanted to look nice back there?
Yeah, it was 5 foot tall babies and
Yeah.
ticks and
Right.
mice
Oh.
and snakes and I don't know.
so I've told, it's where I live is the same situation. We have an HOA, but it's not,
Active.
we're active.
Oh.
We had to make it active because
yes.
there's other things, but that easement, but it's not where you pay dues. It's not mandated to pay dues. We don't, it's like more of a social HOA.
Like you said.
And it's, we don't have any we don't have any criteria, like your house has to be painted a different color. You know, it has to be approved by the HOA. There's no requirements to be part, and we don't have dues. We do have like donations given, but we don't request dues. So I think it's a gray area, like you said. It's tough because we're dealing with the same situation in my neighborhood as well. So I don't know.
but as we've said before with some of these the ones where it's questionable about whether the HOA is active or not, because
It doesn't matter.
there's 5 or 6 neighborhoods that are kind of in
Yeah, I
that
mean,
same.
if it's his risk, right? If all of a sudden they're active and they're like, you can't put in a pool, that's going to be
Right.
his problem. From the point of view of this board, it's the limited questions.
Correct.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
decision of what the HOA says or not is up to them. Our
Anyway.
responsibility here is solely for the variances he needs. And then if
From the
we
town.
grant this and then he goes and talks to them and they say no, that's not the responsibility of what we're doing. Our responsibility is solely. for-
Exactly.
And I've taught lessons in like a couple of houses over, has pretty much almost the exact, I don't know about the variance things, but there's a couple of houses that have the same
Mhm.
that I've taught it.
By the way, she's just mentioning that because she teaches swim lessons.
That's what I teach swim.
So
But I've been in
My wife
area.
used to teach them lessons.
Oh, yeah.
she's got a goal of just trying every pool in the town of Manlius.
I do.
There's a bunch in there.
My favorite one's in DeWitt.
All right, so thank you. Does anybody have any other questions?
I do.
Go ahead.
So when I came to look at the property, you explained very clearly what you wanted to do. It's a very tight space. And you explained to me about the water culvert, for lack of a better term, that was above where the boulders were lined up along on the property line. And then after thinking about it and that's when I called Tom to say, did you go out and look at this? You told me you didn't, that you looked at it apparently from Google Maps, and you've subsequently gone out there. So is there a problem with that culvert next to where he wants to put this pool?
It would not be for me to say if there was. I asked Doug Miller, the engineer, who would review that. It wasn't anything, he had stated that if the board was looking for something thorough, that he would have to pull the construction documents, but there was nothing.
This is it Canon doing it or who's, right?
We're-
So
we're-
that's the other thing though too, is it's typical for Canon and we can certainly review it, but they make sure, Warren.
Yeah.
Canon especially, that's the thoroughness of making sure that like the culvert and I mean, they go down to the size of rocks sometimes on how they do them. They're that specific.
Well, this is a drainage
Yeah.
pipe that leads from the cul-de-sac up top.
Up to the,
And
right.
how far out, did you go out
It's on
past
the
his real
side.
lot line?
Anyway,
Yes.
Yeah, so it's.
Not.
I would have to pull the survey or pull something,
Well,
but I believe it probably empties out past it. I believe it's probably where the outfall is probably
Right.
right outside his property line.
Probably, yeah.
If not.
Yeah.
I mean, the
it's right
easement
there.
is shown on the survey. It goes right up to the corner of his deck,
Right.
as long as it's not
Yeah.
an
As
easement.
long as it doesn't dump on his property.
Dump it into the pool, fill the pool. No. All right.
Change
Do you
your oil
have-
and just dump it
Do you have
in.
any questions?
That, my only question is, Warren, that COVID drainage area was my issue.
Claire? Do you want to ask them what color the pool is? I'm just kidding.
Saltwater.
We don't decide for tomorrow.
What was that?
We don't decide the color for tomorrow.
Oh, there you go. All right.
So where the pool's going, you're gonna have it be raised enough so that any water that is in there will not get into that area where you want the pool.
Yeah,
It's gonna be on grade with our existing patio, under our. And we'll decide, or the distinct concrete will decide if drain is needed.
Right.
A French drain in the concrete.
all right.
And how deep to go?
We Anybody online?
6.5 feet,
I gotta ask you anyway.
3 feet 4 inches in shallow.
Go deeper.
3 to 6?
Yeah.
Yeah. No diving board on 6 feet.
Go big or go home.
You and everybody have a lake in the backyard.
I don't think kids dive.
50 yards.
Yeah. Good.
All right. There are
My
no,
only question was about the HOA.
Yeah.
If that was required, that you have to get their permission.
no, I just always like to remind people that, you know, our job's the variance and because there are HOAs that we could improve it and they could just say, nope. And that's sadly not something we're in control of.
They are aware of it, however. And I think the fence is gonna be something that you might want to run past them, and I can give you, when I do your permit, I'll give you their contact
I
information.
have thoughts.
Okay.
We've talked before.
All right. Can I get a motion to close the public hearing for this item?
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Claire seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right. Move on to the next step. Not yet. 5
Oh,
questions.
come on.
All right. Whether the benefits sought by the applicant can be achieved by a feasible alternative to the variance with the shape of that lot? No.
Mm-mm.
Whether an undesirable change would be produced in the character of the neighborhood or detriment to nearby properties? No, because there are other houses that have pools and it
Right.
improves the property if more than is a detriment.
Mhm.
Whether requested variance is substantial, again, no, because of the layout of that particular lot. Please speak up if you disagree with me. All right, would the variance have an adverse impact on the physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood? No, I think we discussed that.
Yeah, no, he talked about the thing being up high enough.
Yeah.
Other than that, yeah.
And whether the alleged difficulty was self-created? Yeah, they want to build a pool.
Yeah.
All right. So the ZBA, after taking into consideration the above five factors, finds that the benefit to the application or applicant does outweigh the detriment to the neighborhood or community. ZBA further finds that a variance for 4 feet and a side yard variance of 4 feet and a rear yard variance of 20 feet is the minimum variance that should be granted in order to preserve and protect the character of the neighborhood and the health, safety, and welfare of the community. There's agreement that there is no significant impact on the environment. Therefore, I propose a type 2 action on seeker and no further review is required. Based on our discussions, would someone make a motion to grant or deny this area or those 2 area variances?
I'll make that. Mr. Chairman, I make a motion the zoning board grant an area variance to Regan Smith for the purpose of permitting construction of an in-ground pool. Get the size here.
16 by 30.
16 by 30 in-ground pool. Give me 1 second. Yeah. With the existing side yard setback of, grant the variance of 4 feet to meet the required 15 feet. And a variance of 20 feet to meet the required 25 feet for the rear yard setback.
Let's see the location.
And this is at 110 Brennan Fields Run, Manlius, New York.
May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Thank you for your patience, sir. I was just looking at the time thinking the same thing. All right.
It's gonna be vinyl siding?
Hold on,
White vinyl?
hold on.
Okay.
He's all set. We're not.
The fencing,
You're all set.
yeah.
Thank you.
Have a great night, sir. All right. Is there any other business before the ZBA tonight? Other than being promised hamburgers? If not, may I have a motion for adjournment?
I'll make that.
Second.
Claire seconded. All in favor?